Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so in the following manner. Go to the town's website. The agenda is out there with instructions to sign on to the Zoom for this evening, and just click on those and you're welcome to join us. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. That's great. So with that, we'll convene the meeting. Pete, thanks for the great minutes and the back and forths on a few occasions, but I hope that we got them. I did run them by our town administrator, who's not on this meeting because I think she had a disabilities commission or something meeting. But not sure if everybody had a chance to review the minutes, but if we did, could we have entertain a motion?
So moved to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Ray. All right, great. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. I guess we have to do a roll call vote. So Chris Berglund, aye. Bill Fay?
William Fay, aye.
Ray Burkhalter?
Aye.
Pete Murphy?
Aye.
And Paul Bonson?
Paul
did
was
we lose?
frozen,
Did we lose Paul?
or he's mesmerized. Hard to tell.
I think he was an aye though, wasn't he?
Falling asleep, I think. Yeah, that's
Oh, there he is. He's
I
back.
see all you guys.
All right. Is that an aye, Paul? For the
Yes.
Minutes? All right. That's good. Thank you. All right. So it's unanimous. Thanks. Unanimous at this point, and Mary joins. We'll see. Okay, good. So I don't know if everybody, I'm sorry, I just got everything kind of disseminated and loaded up today to the drive. But there's quite a bit. And I guess we'll just start by looking at, I did load a little spreadsheet up there that's called schedule. And I'm not sure if everybody can access that or not. But that is just basically a summary of sort of what has come in to date from all of the departments out there.
So you writing
and
blank checks there, Chris? Was it 10 million for this year? Where we're going for?
no, it's not quite 10 million, right? You know, I'm only at 3.4, so that's what I added up just for this year, because a lot of this stuff rolls into future years. I just listed everything that was in there.
The schools put their 5.2 million in February 24.
Yeah, well, yeah, well,
That's 9 and change. That's pretty close to 10.
I'm not sure that the schools, you know, that they were as disciplined as some of the other departments with laying out the different years and so forth and sources, and they did a pretty good job. That's all I can say. But I mean, I don't think there's a lot of surprises with them. I think there were certainly a few more with some of the other stuff, and as we get into that and kind of go through all these different issues, that just a kind of a heads up, there will be, I did meet with Jennifer last week, and she just cued me that there will be some operating, some increases in operating budgets as well, across with some additional requirements from labor standpoints for fire. There will be, I think DPW is okay on the labor issue. Let me see if I can grab my notes. But just so we know that when we go out and speak to these areas, we just want to be cognizant that we're going to be looking at not only the capital piece, but also what they're proposing from an operating standpoint.
And Chris, at a conceptual level, Jennifer had said that she was asking people for numbers for level services budget.
Yep.
But adding personnel is not a level services budget per se.
Well, you know, and I guess that's going to take further definition. So for instance, Ray, I mean, what happened or what she explained to me was the the fire department. She says we really need to step up in fire because right now, I guess some of the time slots, because with a full-time ambulance service, we have to have paramedics on staff full-time, and right now we are not staffed to handle that with a normal staffing schedule. It requires mandatory overtime week in and week out. And so that, she says, is a problem. So they're going to be looking at stepping up some staffing in that area. Now, I don't know what the final number is on that. I don't know how many, but that's going to be something that, again, whoever chooses or whoever gets picked for fire and public safety stuff that we're going to want to look closely at. So that's just an
Chris,
example. Go ahead.
I just got a text from Mary. She's having trouble getting on.
Oh, she is. All right.
Hopefully she just restarting the process because she said it was telling her that it was waiting for others to join the meeting.
Oh, is she,
Yeah,
she
I ran into that too. With the meeting invites you sent out, Chris, there's 3 different invites. One takes you to Skype, one takes you to Zoom, and you end up waiting. And the one embedded in the meeting minutes is the one you need to actually log in.
Here comes Mary.
Okay. Yeah. So welcome, Mary. Oh, if she's on now. There she goes. So the last one I sent, I guess I just want to be clear. There we go. Let's see. She in?
I'm in.
Can you hear us now? Hey, Mary,
can
welcome.
hear ya.
Sorry about that. Ray was just explaining to me. I guess there's an issue with all the different invites that I send out, and I do that because I'm trying to be sensitive to those who have Outlook and not just Google Calendar, because Google Calendar is where the kind of the best invite comes from, and I know the Outlook one comes for a calendar invite as well, but it's that one is probably the one that has the Skype in it because that automatically
Yes.
loads. Yeah, so that's wrong. Yeah, you want the one that's probably the best one. And maybe what I'll just start doing is once I get the agenda back from the town clerk in the future, I'm just going to send that around as an attachment because that's really
Okay.
the one. And that's kind of what I sent around late this afternoon, was just that last those last instructions. But anyways, welcome. I'm glad
Thank you.
we got that. Yeah. So we approved the minutes. Hopefully you're all right with that.
I'm
Unless you
great
have
with
anything.
that.
Okay, good. And we're just talking about what was loaded into the Google Drive, which was a lot of paperwork, a lot of requests. I tried to subcategorize it by department, and then there was a little spreadsheet I put out there, which is very rough, but just kind of, it's called schedule, and it just kind of categorizes it by department and the ask for FY 2024, and then some future stuff as well, which is a little bit, I guess, eye-opening from the standpoint of what's, thinking that when we went through this in the fall, that was going to be a big portion of any of the asks and probably take some of the pressure off for the spring, but it doesn't seem like that was necessarily the case. But that said, I mean, looking at the requests, if I was to tally up everything, and I think there's probably a double one in there. Bill, I don't know if you can talk to that, to the cemetery, because he put in 2 requests. One was for cemetery, one was for cemetery development, and the other was for a cemetery study. But I think the study's included in the development one, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's just something we want to clarify. And then, so I mean, if we go down the list for the year, as they were outlined by the department, it was over $1 million for the DPW. Fire department had close to $500,000. Library, well, they're including all their HVAC and everything. And I know that's I had a little a quick talk with um, Lauren Espy about what she was, trying to put together. And I think she was just kind of throwing everything in and did a pretty good job with pictures and everything as to what, trying to follow the schedule that was provided to her. And then the school, even though they're only asking for 255, when I met with them, they said that the last bid that they got for that major Edwards boiler was going to be over 300,000, along with a van that they're looking for. Now they're going through some other avenues, and that's part of what we want to decipher when we meet with these folks, because some of these had multiple sources. Some were indicating some grant, but almost all of them also had CIB in there. So that's a little bit of a challenge for us. We're looking at about 1.2, a little over 1.2 in the CIB. Jen has made her wishes known. She's looking to not so much exhaust the CIB and use more of free cash towards these capital items, even though they are capital and have to go through the process. She's looking to do that. Unfortunately, that's not going to be quite as lucrative as that capital investment fund. I think when I last talked to her, she said that was running right now at about a little over $500,000. So there's going to be some. What's that?
Which fund are you talking about?
She said she's looking to do free cash. She wants to do this out of what's coming back as free cash. She said right now she's hoping that there's about a $500,000 left in free cash, and she would like to fund as much of the capital acquisitions through that. And also keeping in mind that there's, I think, about still around $500,000 in uncommitted ARPA funds. Now, I'm not sure that we necessarily want to exhaust those in this round, but that's something we have to look at, because I think we have to have those out the door by 2025.
What was the library number?
The library number was for the year that she had what was budgeted, what was in their schedule originally was rebuilding the fan coils, and then she had the full HVAC solution, which was that piece that we had talked with Eversource about, and they had quoted out through, I can't remember the engineer, Pete, you probably can.
Rise Engineering.
Right.
Yeah, Rise, right, which was around $790,000. Now we don't know what happened to the source of funds through Eversource, if that even still exists, and it may. But it's, again, this is something that's out there on the schedule. Certainly something we want.
Their total for the library was then what number?
839,167.
Okay.
And this is rough,
Yeah.
Pete. I mean, this is all. I mean, again,
I'm just putting rough numbers down, right? Exactly.
yeah. But what I think we, again, the purpose of this meeting, and instead of trying to dissect these, because this is again very, probably the only one coming with more information than the rest of us is Bill, because I know, Bill, you met with Kevin Duffy, so.
So I did. I didn't want to interrupt because, to your point, Chris, some of those numbers are a little repetitive. And then, the fire feasibility study and the DPW feasibility study are, I wanted to speak to that a little bit, because they're doing two separate studies on two buildings on the same property.
Yeah, and that might be,
Which doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and that might come off, because I met with when I met with Jennifer on that too. She said she's looking to hopefully get something funded through a grant.
Right,
for
and
that.
it could be grant money, and that's just pie in the sky numbers too. I mean,
right at this point, that is, but that's something that they are definitely looking to engage in the coming year, because she said there's so many, or at least Chief Sadowski thinks there are so many deficiencies in
Yeah.
in the fire building. And
Oh, yeah. But I
and
did
like-
spend a good hour with Duffy, and I think for the, I always think these capital requests and these charge change over the years, but we've got a pretty good one now, and
Yep.
it's on the drive as well as all the requests for May. So I'd be happy to speak to any of that, or we can sit on it. That's fine too. But for once, I'm a little ahead of the game here on the
Yeah, no,
stuff.
that's great. No, that's fantastic. So I mean, that's yeah, I mean, if you want to tell us your thoughts, I mean, again, knowing what our constraints are, certainly. And again, his asks are substantial.
Yeah, they always are.
Yeah, yeah.
And Chris, if I can ask, I've got a whole bunch of comments, but I'm not sure they're appropriate to this meeting. So what are you trying to get out of tonight's meeting? What are the goals? So
Yeah.
and we're
Well,
all
I guess
kind of aligned
it's
to that.
it's first, again, if Bill has some fresh information on DPW, we might as well get that out on the table. I mean, if we should, I mean, instead of waiting, I mean, unless there's because if there's questions that we might have on the information Bill already has, he can certainly go back and try to get some clarity, possibly for the next meeting. Out of this meeting, I'd like to get us all assigned to the various departments so that we can talk more intelligently at future meetings, not only on the capital budget requests, but also just where these folks are on operating. If that makes sense. I mean, again, I'm not looking for anybody to come back with anything more than that at this meeting. I mean, we're just not prepared. I mean, I had a quick meeting with the school a month ago, and there's stuff on here that they didn't even talk about, for this year. I thought they had other solutions, so that I'll be going back to them, certainly. So I mean, I think that's this is a starting point, Ray, and I don't know what else, how else to put it, unless we think there's a better strategy to approach this. But I think that's I'm just trying to be sensitive to everybody's time, because this always comes down to crunch time and everything. We don't have the operating budget yet, so it would be premature to go back to them and talk about operating, because I don't know. I have not seen anything. I have not seen even a draft. A little nervous about that, because I know there's going to be some increases just because of inflation and insurances and all that fun stuff. I think Jennifer said she's doing her best, and she'll join us at the next meeting so she can give us a little more insight. But she's doing her best to try to find some spots that she thought that some operating funds may have been, shall we say, reserved for for uses that were unexpected uses during the year. And she's just going to have to, she says she's looking to cut some of those to the quick. She's working with Leslie on that. I'm not sure exactly what all that comes down to or what that really translates, but I think what it probably translates to, or at least in my mind, is that we may not be looking at levels of free cash that we've had in prior years and years going forward. But I don't think it's going to mean that there's going to be fat budgets. I think it means that, again, looking at if we're going to have to staff up, with additional personnel and fire and so forth. We didn't even get into discussing wage studies or anything like that. I don't think that's even on the table at this point, but that's something that always makes us nervous. Especially in times like this, and we haven't seen times like this in close to 40 years. So that makes us all a little nervous. But yeah, so I guess Not to cut Bill off, but I mean, Bill's obviously done a great job with DPW. I just, thinking of teams, I'm looking down the list. I've got police, fire. That's usually one team that does both of those. There's not a whole lot on the police side other than a cruiser request for the next 5 years or 4. I think that's really that's all they have. But fire's got an extensive. I mean, that's going to be a long meeting. And again, Chief Sadowski's new, so he's had some time to sink his teeth into some things, and he's got his opinions and what he brings with his expertise from his other communities. Library and town hall. I have not seen. I know Jen is working on some things for town hall, but they're more along the lines of, I think, some upgrades in software and so forth for some of the different departments, and then schools, of course, are last. So first come, first served. I'll take any volunteers. Bill, you're already on, so I've got your name down.
Yep, I've
DPW.
been, that's kind of the only thing I've done for over 10
Yeah.
years.
So Chris, how do you want to break it out? There's 6 of us and what, 4 groups you need to staff?
4 groups. Yep.
So are you looking for someone to do double duty so that there's 2 on each team, or are you just going to do 1 for a couple?
Can be 2 on each team, or we can do 1. I mean, it makes whatever. I guess what's everybody's preference, and then we can, again, if we don't think we're covered well enough, then we can adjust accordingly. I mean, I've already had some initial discussions with the school, so I'm happy to go back to them and meet again, meet some more with them, unless somebody else is looking to passionately take that over. I'm welcome the opportunity. I believe it's public now, but I think their business agent is retiring. So
Yeah, he's been talking about retiring for a while, so
yeah,
makes sense.
so there's going to be a little bit of a transition there. I think the person that I don't think they've necessarily slotted a new person for that spot, but I know they've been grooming someone, or that's what I've been told. And I think that individual is going to take a little bit of a different approach to the business agent role than Roger did. Roger got himself involved in a lot of things that a business agent may not necessarily get involved in, but that's it. So that's the schools, and then library. I know Anna's been out. I don't think there's been a whole lot of changes there, but a library and town hall we usually combine. So that would be it in fire and police. So we're down people, but give me
Well,
your
Chris, I'm happy to join you on the schools.
great.
I would want to, whoever ends up on fire, I would definitely want to have a conversation. So there's,
Pete and I have done fire and police the last few years. I don't know if Pete wants to continue.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm open to doing that. I don't know who's going to do library. That's the other one that,
Yep, library and town hall.
so there's Paul, Mary, and myself. And there's fire and library.
Yeah, thin. So that's the beauty of being down 3 people. The bad news is, and I will share this with you, I did reach out to, we've reached out. Ray has reached out to one, had a good chat with one of his someone he knows in town, who's just not quite ready for the commitment, which is good because he's being honest, and I think he's somebody that takes it seriously. I know he was former library. Wasn't he library trustee, Ray, at one point, I think?
yeah. He was on the
chair.
municipal buildings committee, and I'm sure he's been on a few others.
Yeah. I reached back out to Paul Redmond too, because I think Paul's, brought some value to the group here, just to see if anything's changed in his life. And actually some things have changed in his life. So if you still have his email address, wish him well, because he just took a new job in Berlin as the treasurer in the town of Berlin. So good for, or the CFO, whatever. I mean, it's so good for him. But that said, he said it's too uncertain to commit to anything. And I talked with another individual who's an attorney in town, and he's looking, thinking about different things that he might be able to do in town, and he's going to think about it. So that's it. But again, so no hot new
I think
candidate.
Jim Marinelli was doing the library, right? Maybe I should move over to the library and Paul and Mary can do the fire and police.
That
Mary's
makes
got
sense
the
to me.
background.
That's how we used to do it, Pete. You always did the library. Right? You did though.
Well, I
Marinelli
got to
always
the
did
library
fire.
because of the.
Yeah, because of the boiler.
Yeah, strategically, Pete, I think that makes a lot of sense. So
All right.
the biggest issue we're going to have to negotiate with them is what to do with the spoiler.
Yeah.
And that is not a simple issue.
Okay.
That would be great. And Pete, along those lines, and we can certainly reach out to Jen when she jumps in on the next meeting. But I think she's got some ideas for what needs to be done for town hall and so forth, and facilities. Still talking about this facilities position that's posted, I guess, but it's not. They're trying to rework it a little bit to get somebody that's going to fit, if that's out there. But because I think that's something that's really, I think that would help, especially as we look at school buildings and all this sort of stuff. I mean, I can't imagine who's going to oversee the procurement for the upcoming or the requested $9 million in immediate school needs. I mean, that'll be interesting.
What were you doing before? I don't recall.
Me, I've done library, and I jumped in with Bill last year on DPW, but I'd be glad to join in with Mary. I'll
And
back
fire?
Bill up if he wants a hand.
You're
Well,
a utility guy.
Don't be bashful, Paul. You can do both too. I mean, it's we are down, so I mean, it's feel free.
Well, I'm there to back up Bill if he wants another set of years to go to a meeting.
Well, it might not hurt, as we go down a little further, because there's a lot of stuff that's a little ways out, but it would be helpful.
Okay. So I'll leave that to you guys. I'm going to put you both on there then. That's fine.
Yeah.
And Pete, if you need help with town hall, I can certainly run some stuff
right.
with you for that, because I've done that in the past as well.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All
All right, got him down.
Good. All right, thanks. Do we want to get into Bill's? And I'm just going to throw this out to everybody. I know it's early in the process and everything. We're a half hour into the meeting. Do we want to just see where we have been with or where Bill's been with the DPW Chief Duffy, or
Yeah, Chris,
Sure.
before we move on with the departmental assignments,
yeah.
can you define what you'd like to have done by when?
Well, I guess I'd like to get a better understanding of what some, what exactly these needs are. What are the sources? I mean, a lot of these things that have been posted have capital investment fund and grants. And my concern is where, I guess for the biggest part is, if grants are a realistic prospect for funding on these, what's the status of the applications? What's the season of when they get approved? And how does that fit with the request that the department's making? That makes sense. I mean, because frankly, and what happens if we approve it to fund it on the capital investment side, and then they get approved for the grant? Does that, because they already have a commitment,
how
will
does that work?
will that negate their grant application? And I think, and I just want to make sure that they're aware of those questions.
So when would you like to have people meet with the departments? Do you have a particular finance committee meeting you want to have that feedback back in for?
Yeah, well, I guess, let's, I don't, I mean, I think we have one tentatively scheduled for next week. I don't think we're gonna have much before next Monday, so I don't know that it really makes sense to, keep that on the schedule. I guess I'd like to get an idea as to where we're going to be with specific operating, but I mean, or do we want to just, I guess from your standpoint, because it would take going back twice. I mean, that's all I'm saying. If we just go to them first with capital and then come back with, where are you going to be on operating? I mean, because that's really going to be two different discussions. And I know, for instance, some of these department heads probably already have in their mind where they want to be on operating. Now, I don't know that that necessarily aligns with the town administrator's idea as to where she wants to be. So I guess, Ray, I'm thinking we're at the end of January. We know that the select board, I haven't seen the schedule yet, but I'm sure the select board is going to be looking for recommendations in, end of March, early April, as far as capital goes. I don't think it's too early to go and just say, what, especially on some of these estimates. I mean, nobody provided any, or at least I didn't see any hard bids on any of these estimates. I mean, where maybe getting ideas to where some of these guys are on those, or are they waiting till they get approval before they go out and get that? Because typically we have, as you know, right, we've looked to get them in our hands when we're reviewing these requests.
Why don't we focus on the capital? Because it doesn't look like there's going to be big operating issues, some operating issues. But most of that's going to be because of inflation, right?
I think most of it's going to be because of inflation, and some of it may be because of some regulatory issues, just because like on the fire department, because I think the mandatory overtime is creating some issues as far as where that goes. So that might be, I don't know what that number is going to be, but that's going to impact whoever is doing fire.
Chris, do you have a timeline from Jen on having a first draft of the operating budget?
She's hoping to have it within the next couple of weeks. I mean, that's all I got from her. I'll see her again on Thursday, so I can certainly see where she is on that, and if she can get us some kind of an idea. But I think Pete's probably right. Let's at least get out of the.
Historically, that's what we've done. It's because the capital budgets are a bit more complex and require a little bit of hands-on.
Right.
We would do a first pass review, kick the tires on the various capital requests, and then get back together and compare notes.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're suggesting a meeting the first or second week of February that we would try to pull those things together. Is that
Yeah,
what you're hearing?
I think like second week of February, I'll give everybody a little bit of breathing room, because again, I think if we go any further than that, we're going to run into issues with vacations and school vacations and all that sort of stuff. And I don't want to do that. We can do that.
Okay. So that list of things that you talked about, I think makes sense. And second week of February, we'll figure out on meeting time.
Yeah. Monday nights are good for everybody.
The second Monday is great for me.
The second Monday.
First Mondays are bad.
The first Mondays are bad. All right. All right. Well, let me just look at, and I'll try to send out as many
The
calendars.
second Monday is the 13th. Is that what we're talking about?
That would be correct. 13th.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all right.
Okay.
I'll be in Florida. Yippee.
It's a Zoom meeting, Paul. No excuse.
The Wi-Fi
try.
shaky on the boat.
Yeah, Pete, you don't let them get away with that weak stuff.
Man, oh man, huh? Wow. Paul's in Florida, huh? So Paul, do you think you'll be able to call in, or will you try and just?
I can certainly try. I don't know where I'll be at that point. I'll do my best.
Oh, man. That's a nice way to be, man. Oh man. Yeah.
Chris,
Don't
No,
know.
we're going to Fort
Yeah.
Myers.
I think you
and
should get a satellite phone, Paul.
basically,
Oh.
the beach is still destroyed, so probably just be
Oh.
hanging out somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully.
Chris,
the
I can
pool-
do the 13th as well.
Okay, good. Good.
I
All right.
put it in my calendar.
And then we're gonna try to meet with our departments between now and then.
That would be great. And again, if you need a question, but again, the important things are, where are you with, it's the normal stuff. I mean, we're concerned with how this impacts operating and efficiencies, if there are any, if they're replacing vehicles.
Yeah.
But
But it's gonna be capital. The operating side, right, they're gonna have a couple of go-rounds with the new town manager, I would think.
I would think
Before
before,
we
yeah,
should
before
ask
that.
any
gets-
questions
Yep,
there.
exactly, because we don't know where that's gonna shuffle
And
out,
see,
but
this is her first round, right?
right,
Mm.
right. And I don't want to step on
Right.
any toes there, and I don't think any of us do, because that would be,
Yeah. So let's
So-
just do capital. Yeah, okay.
okay. And
Cool.
if anybody needs, I mean, I know we had some questions that we had gone around with before, just to, as far as where they are with bids and so on and so forth. I can go back and try to dig that out and send that around again.
Right.
But good. I also uploaded town accountant reports. I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary there. I think there will be snow and ice was trending nicely, but I think it's may take a little bit of a backward slide after this month, which is to be expected. But nonetheless, that's good. I'm also going to meet with Leslie just to kind of catch up. I threw the debt schedule out there in the drive too, as to where we currently are and what's rolling off. And I just want to kind of get a feel from her, because I have no idea what bond rates are or anything today, because we will. I mean, I'm just, what if is what I'm thinking. What if we have to go to the market, to finance different things associated with, whether it be bridge repairs, whether it be building studies, whether it be school, who knows? I mean, I think all these things are real. Playgrounds, I'm not even going to touch all the stuff that's out there, because there's just so much. And
Yeah, Chris, when we were talking on the 5th about building needs, we're trying to see what we could dovetail to this roll off in 24, but nothing's happened with that.
Yeah.
But considering the $9.2 million in requests we have for fiscal 24,
right.
and nobody likes to generate debt, but might not be the worst thing to consider.
Right. I don't disagree. I mean, I think what we want to do, and I like to get a better understanding as to what's the impact going to be, because I don't know what the rates are on that stuff that's rolling off and what the rates would be on the stuff coming on now, because I'm sure the public debt markets have been impacted. We know they have, the municipal
it's up.
debt markets.
No question, it's up.
Yeah. And looking at that senior center, that was a big chunk of change that went out there. The good news was, I guess it was at a lower rate, but I'm just not so, well, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, Chris, for clarity, the debt roll-off schedule that you circulated says February 2020. Is that correct?
It does. It's correct, though. That's I reached out to her again, and she's confirmed that there's been nothing that's come on or gone off since then.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So good. Anything else? Anybody have anything that they want me to? Well, I don't know how much time I'm going to spend with Leslie, but just because I just want to go over some of that stuff on what happens, Ray, when we put $9 million out. What's that going to do to? What's that going to do to Paul Bonson's tax bill? Geez.
Well, so I'll add a couple of conversation points. I know Bill has some feedback from DPW that I'm
Yep.
sure we want to hear.
Yep.
I got some major conflict issues between FISP and FinCom. You know, the fire station was absolutely positively not supposed to get a new fire station. That's why we invested, I don't remember how much, 300-400K into upgrading the facility, the quarters, etc.
Okay.
So that was not supposed to be out there. So I'm confused as to how that's getting on the schedule. I don't know if that's I don't know what the etiology is, but if it's intentional, I don't understand. It's not on the FIS's radar, period.
Okay.
If it's unintentional or it's a communication issue, it gives me multiple level concerns on.
You're
how
you're
this
saying
is being
things I don't
managed.
understand here. What are you talking about? A new fire station?
Yeah, if you take a look in the fire station asks, they
Oh.
put in what, $250,000
Yeah.
for feasibility
Yeah, for
studies for a new fire
Feasibility,
station.
yeah.
No.
And
Yes.
16
No.
million for a new station in 2 years.
Well, then we got
I
a new
think-
fire chief. He's gonna put
I
everything on
think,
there.
I think that's all it is. Pete said, I think it's probably the old chief is unaware of what, how this has been built over time. The new chief.
He's not new. He's been in the fire station for years, right?
Oh, no. He just
Couple of
started.
months.
He just
Couple of
started at the end of
The
the
chief
summer.
started September 1st, I
Oh.
think.
Yeah.
Okay.
at the end
Couple
the
of months.
summer.
I'm sure he has no idea what any of the old stuff is.
Okay, but the same is also true for DPW. This is also their building feasibility studies also not anywhere on the FIS's radar.
I'd spend money on DPW building way before I'd spend it on the fire station. I mean, I think the fire station's in relatively good shape.
I
don't
agree
know
with
what I'm
Pete.
missing. Mary?
I don't.
I agree with you. And when I spoke to him in the fall, he mentioned it and I kind of laughed at him. I said, yeah, everybody wants a new building. And he said, well, DPW might take over this.
Hmm.
And
No, it's not big
I
enough.
said, I'm not aware of any of this.
No, unless that's department heads having a conversation, I've never heard that before either.
Well, whatever we can bring in, maybe that's why at next meeting we, maybe Ray, you, Jen and I meet too, because I don't know that she's aware. I don't know that she's aware that FISP has been that active or has concretely resolved the both the fire station and the DPW issues. Because
I mean, the reality is Jen's new,
Yeah,
the chief is
yeah.
new, and Kevin
Right.
Duffy is,
fairly
he's
new. Yeah.
fairly new, is right. So
Yeah.
I think it's
No.
more communication than anything.
I could accept all of that, but it just gives me pause as far as overall communication between the town administrator and the board of selectmen. It said, I'm absolutely positive the board of selectmen wouldn't endorse a fire station.
Yeah.
What
Who's
they
on from the select board? Where it started to interrupt, but who's on from the select board? Who's on FISP that's still there?
the entire select board,
Oh, it is. Oh,
myself,
all right. I didn't
and
realize it was there. All right.
there's one citizen member.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I didn't realize that. Thanks. But keep going. I'm sorry. So you think they're definitely not going to be?
So as far as kind of cross jurisdictional issues, it's great that they put it in and they submitted as a capital request. I have no issue with the request, but my concerns are with communication and expectations. So I'm pretty sure I know what the reaction to both are going to be, but if there's something that's fundamentally changed other than personnel, that would be important here.
Mhm.
And with this, and we know the ask was coming in from the schools for whatever it is, 5 to 10 million, or I've lost track of what the total number is. A lot of money. We don't have a means to fund that. So that also is something that is a town-wide facilities issue.
Yep.
Yeah. Chris, I think, when you and I meet with the schools, how to break that up into bite-sized pieces would be a very important discussion and then trying to get them in front of the FISP board, which has been inactive since Nancy's left.
Right. Well,
So-
yeah, so I think it's either way. I mean, I think it would be incumbent on, I don't know who the leadership of the FISP is, the FISP board, if there is a chair or whatever, but it would be,
I don't
might
know if the
wanna-
chair is current or not.
yeah, it might be worth reaching out to just try to get that rekindled. Because I
Chris,
agree with you. It's
When,
very valuable.
when I take that one on, I will reach out to the FISP and
That
kind
would
of
be
point
great.
these things out and ask if, I'll suggest maybe you, Jen, and I meet, and then it should probably be a discussion point at the next FISP meeting, which should happen in a timely fashion.
Yes. All right.
So
I'll,
we're just like the select board, right? We're not talking new fire station. Nobody's here even thinking that. We're not even talking new ladder truck, right? We're not talking much.
No,
for the
we're
fire
not, Pete.
department
No
at all.
new ladder truck.
Well,
I mean, they
again,
get an
it's,
ambulance. That's about it.
well,
it's with the new personnel, I have serious concerns about managing expectations. If they have the thought that that's a serious chance of these being funded, the impact on their morale and it's turned down cold hard might not be great. And I'm presuming a lot here. I don't believe it's something that will move forward, but.
well, I mean, again, I think Paul and Mary, I think when you talk with Chief Sadowski, it'd certainly be worth, so where did you come, we didn't think, or Mary, you met with him in the fall. Well, we didn't think that there was going to be a need for another ladder truck. What's, what you're thinking behind that?
Correct.
Or,
Well, that made it back onto the capital requests, the ladder
did.
truck.
It's on there for future.
Hmm.
I believe it was on there for a future, let me think, aerial
That's
ladder.
always been
Yeah.
on there. The
That's out there for fiscal
it just keeps
26.
moving out, but the a new fire station was certainly not on there.
Yeah. So, again, good questions. I know that they had, I think it's important that, again, as we start to move forward, because again, one of my biggest concerns as well is procurement of these things. And I don't know if anybody took the time or had the chance to, dissect that great ADA report that was, I think I loaded up at into the last folder from, I think I did. The study of all the deficiencies or recommendations, I'll say, for accessibility in town buildings, which is quite, I don't know how many hundreds of pages the report was, but that's something else that we would probably want to take a look at as well, as to how we incorporate some of those upgrades into school projects, for instance, because we don't only want to just be doing what Colliers, because I'm not sure Colliers captured all those same requirements. And I think I thought I hung that out in December, but maybe not. If I didn't, I will do my best to hang it back out again. I think I just hung the grant program out there. I'm sorry, I didn't hang that out. Yeah, I'll share that because that's very extensive. And I guess how do we want to, so maybe we can put that on the agenda for the next meeting as well, as far as how do we attack or recommend attacking some of those projects. I mean, some of the stuff is very simple, but some of it, even as far back as recent as the senior center. I was looking through it. There's some things in the senior center that are deficiencies from an ADA standpoint, which kind of surprised me. I know that's kind of a moving target. It can change quickly, but pitch on accessibility ramps and so forth, just little stuff, but it all adds up. And when we have to be making
All right.
some movement towards that. So I'll actually load that into this folder for everybody under an ADA subfolder. And I'll put that in the agenda for next week. for next
Could
meeting.
you put that folder link out again on email too? I would appreciate that, just to,
I
I
will.
don't know where it went, but I couldn't find it in my bookmarks.
Very good. All right. Yep. I'll send you an invite, Pete.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay. Bill, you want to give us a down and dirty on?
Well, yeah, I guess I can, Chris. I mean, to Ray's point, he brings up a lot of good points. I mean, I was prepared to kind of give you kind of the vermouth over the martini kind of high altitude on the capital projects that I have in front of me. But maybe I should just kind of skip over them or just speak to them real quickly. They've been uploaded in that portal or that drive, as you call it. But on top of, you know, a fire department, you have the DPW building itself,
Yep.
which is a capital project. You have the entire culvert study / rebuilding of these small culverts / bridges, that study.
Yep.
Then you have the new cemetery, and then you also have the playground.
Yep.
So that's, I don't know if we want to drill down on any of that stuff today, but I mean, those are the projects that the DPW is looking at. And, you know, some of these studies have started, some of this has been grant money that have started these studies. Do we speak to it any more than that? It might be premature to even discuss it, but that was probably about a half an hour of Kevin and I's initial meeting, so to speak, just to talk about these different projects. So that aside, he did put together a new chart, which you uploaded to the drive as well, in terms of FY24 asks. And on there are 4. So the projects aside, on the new capital request, that he has, one is a DPW engineering site project review, which I kind of jumped at a little bit because I don't think that should be on there at all, depending on if fire is doing, maybe they're not, according to Ray. If they're both doing site reviews with engineers, or I don't know if that should even be here.
Gotcha. And I'm not sure that it should. I mean, because the other side of it is obviously we would not be going, even if, you know, FISP, you know, or the town administrator and the select board says, let's go ahead with this. Why wouldn't we do one study for the whole site? And
So
I mean, yeah, but so
that's on there. And then the other thing that's on there is the beginning, I guess you'd call it like phase 1 of the expansion of the cemetery at Paul Tivnan. And he has on there 110,000, and that most of, if not all, that money's coming from the state.
it is. Okay, good.
So
So that's all grant.
yeah, that's grant money. So if you take out everything I just said, the only pieces of equipment that he's actually asking for is an attachment to a trackless motor, which we poo-pooed at least once, if not twice.
Yep.
And that's you've uploaded it in the drive, because I've photocopied everything that we discussed and I sent
Yep.
it to you.
Yeah.
So the attachment to this trackless motor essentially is like a boom arm, if you can think of that. And it does roadside mowing kind of on an angle. And that's gone around at least once, and part of me wants to say twice, but that's on there for 36,000. And then he has one truck that he's looking to replace, F-350 1-ton dump black. He has it for 110,000. The paperwork I sent you has it quoted out, or spec'd out, I should say, for 98,000.
When did you send me that, Bill? Because I don't think I ever got it.
No, it's uploaded. You've uploaded all of it.
Yeah, no, I got this. That's all the stuff I got from Jen. because she sent me all that
Oh,
stuff.
well, I emailed it to you.
All right, well, send it again if you find, I mean, you can go back and just, if you
Well,
see the email.
it's all there. So
Oh, all
maybe,
right, because I didn't see,
it's all the
I
same
didn't,
stuff.
all
So,
right, I didn't see any spec on the truck. All I saw was what he had, or she didn't have
I'll
that.
have to look. So the spec
Right.
on the truck was 98,000.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Duffy added 10% and put for FY24, 110,000, depending on what it would actually cost when
Okay.
we buy it.
Okay. All right. Good.
Is that replacing one, Bill?
It is.
Yeah.
And I mean, the problem with this equipment is, you've seen it, Paul.
Yeah.
It's deplorable. So as far as equipment, it's 110 plus 36.
Mhm.
And then if you want to speak to the other things, I mean, I don't even know if we should speak to them right now. Maybe it's too early.
Too early. I agree.
Well, I guess I'm curious for some of the longer term projects, what is Temple Street for 1.1 million?
That's
Do
a
that-
paving project. It's a paving project from the railroad tracks to the Route 12 intersection, which I guess we're responsible for.
Right, all the way up.
Yeah,
I didn't
and I
even
think
mention that one.
and he might be able to get some state money for that.
He's looking.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be normally taken care of under Chapter 90 funds?
I don't know. He's got Lee Street on there for the same thing, because Lee Street, they're digging up for water, the town well down there, and they're going to be doing a lot of work on Lee Street. So he's going to have to pave over. He said he's going to apply for it, but he's just throwing it out there. This is what I'm saying. There's like Capital Investment Board and grant we're on his request for him as sources. So I think there's some uncertainty there. I'm not sure. I'm not getting I mean, I don't know. I don't have a great feel that there's going to be a lot coming from the administration in this budget round for a lot of these projects. You know, I guess half of me is, you feel good that there's a change in the administration, and there might be some projects that funded at a higher level than they had been by a more conservative administration. I'm not sure that that's going to happen this time. The little bit I've read on it, it seems like things are coming in at or below expected levels. So I think we just have to keep our ears to the ground. And those projects are out a little bit. But nonetheless, it's like, what's the expectation? And I think a lot of them are competitively bid. I know, and I don't have my notes in front of me, but Jen was telling me about, one of the things that they were looking to get funded was through a competitive, and we didn't get it. It just wasn't. And I said, so what? Why didn't we get it? It was a competitive round, and we just didn't check all the boxes. So it's unfortunately, that's the way a lot of that stuff goes. So there's so much uncertainty surrounding it, but that's why it's important to understand, what's your experience with this? If you have any experience with this kind of a grant application, what makes it good? What makes it bad? How do we get it over the plate so that we can get some of this assistance? Because frankly, you see the number here, if all this stuff comes back to the town,
That's huge.
it's going to be a lot. But, I guess the other thing, the flail mower, we can look at that again. And you're right, Bill, we've looked at it a couple of times. I think the understanding was, I think we have a flail mower, but it's not the right attachment or something like that.
It is,
or it's not-
and it's constantly broke, and the concern is this year, they're just not gonna cut any of these side embankments, I guess you call them.
I thought in the fall, we talked about that flail mower and asked him to push it off to spring, because they wouldn't really need it until halfway through summer anyway.
Right, so what it is the trackless, going back about, well, it's on here, the trackless we approved and bought in 2020, and we fought him. So the actual machine itself is brand new, and we fought the prior DPW director about buying that for several years. I think Pete and I looked at the old one going back to around 2018, 2019. We bought the new trackless in 2020 for the tune of 145,000. And we've been putting the attachments from the old machine on the new machine.
Right. Which
So
I think,
this
which I
30
believe we were told, we were told by the former DPW director that we could do that or something, or he could do that or whatever. Yeah.
Possibly, and now this old arm is not functioning.
Yeah.
And
But I think they were clear at the time that it wasn't a great fit. They could make it work. but
wasn't,
It
it
really
wasn't.
didn't
It was-
interface
it
well.
was
All right,
Mickey
so I
Mouse,
mean, it's,
the word I use.
yeah, 36
But-
grand.
The solution the prior DPW director was looking for was an attachment for the big cat. Something that was a much heavier duty,
That's
longer
right, Ray. You have
lived
great memory.
attachment.
You have great
So
memory.
are we not pursuing that now?
That's been off the board since this director's come around. That's great memory because I remember that as well. Not only that,
One
that
of
was
the
more
things he was
expensive
saying
too.
was the time involved in swapping them out from bucket to
That's right too.
mower arm was ridiculous. And
Yeah. You're right as well, Paul. I remember that too.
So maybe you want to ask him about that if there's a specific reason, or maybe he just wasn't thinking that way.
And
Well, I mean,
I
I guess,
can.
yeah, if this is what he's recommending, that's fine. But I guess we also want to make sure that we're clear and we have in the record that the other piece of machinery is not, let's take it off the chart because we've got this solution.
Froze up.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Can you see me? Hello?
Yep, there you go. You're back
Gotcha.
now.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, so that we can, make sure that this solution is sufficient going forward, because the other DPW director, I think, wanted, that he could do more robust projects and stuff like
He
that. It would
did.
be more efficient. Yeah.
And I did find it I did send this to you.
You did? Okay.
So the packet I sent you is uploaded at January 23rd, like they all are, but it's under Capital Forms Chevy 3500. If
Yeah.
you look under that file,
Okay.
so that
That's got all
file's labeled wrong.
Okay.
That file has the entire packet from my, if you want to call it interview or exchange number 1 with Kevin Duffy.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Thanks.
So that file should be renamed just so the rest of the board can
Okay.
follow this when we dive deeper, I guess.
Okay. Good. Well, if we could keep it to 146,000, I'd be happy with that. That would be,
Yeah,
Yeah.
amen.
yeah, that would be, but I'm not so
So
sure that we.
I don't, and kind of taking a cue from Ray, I don't want to really talk about any of the other projects.
Okay.
I don't think it makes sense.
No, and then we'll maybe when we get him in front, we can just see what the likelihood. But you might just want to again prompt him with, what we'd like to know what the likelihood of some of these grant, requests are on those requests that you have indicated that grant funding might be available, and in what proportion to the total.
So why don't I work on that and I'll speak to that
Yeah, that'd be great.
in February. That will be
That'd be-
my.
yeah,
task.
perfect. That'd be great. That would be great. Good. Oh, this is easy. Good. All right. What else? Anything else for tonight?
All right, move to adjourn.
Wow, that was quick, Pete.
Well, I just.
Second.
Yeah. There we
All
go.
right, we have a motion and a second. I don't think we need to do a roll call, but I'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill. Bill Fay. All right. Pete Murphy.
Aye.
Ray Bacault.
Aye and goodbye.
All right, Mary Foley.
Aye.
All right, thanks everybody. So the 13th.
Aye,
I'll send
aye.
around many
See you all
information.
soon,
Oh,
yeah.
Paul, sorry.
Also
All right.
definite maybe.
All right, just chop liver here.
All right, sorry, Paul. Paul's and
Yeah.
I unanimous.
All right.
Apologize, Paul. You'll be in Florida. That's why you got my.
That's good.
I'm envious. That's all. I don't even want to pay
Have a
attention.
safe
But all right,
night.
thanks
All right,
everybody.
good
Be
night.
safe. Stay away from the falling trees.